Hi friends, today I would like to show you how to make realistic looking 32-bit HDRs. We often associate HDRs with more grungy, more saturated looking um, uh, images, but here with the 32-bit images, 32-bit HDR rather, uh, we'll uh, we'll try to make more realistic looking HDRs. Probably the viewer won't even notice that it's an HDR, but it will have high dynamic range, more depth in colors and toning, plus all the details which we want to capture using an HDR. So I presume that you have basic knowledge of Lightroom and you know how to use the tools and its sliders within the Lightroom. Even if you do not know, I'll try to show the very basic things within the Lightroom so that you can create your own HDRs using Lightroom. There are many softwares, many programs that you can use to create HDR. I use Photomatix mostly, though I also use Photoshop and Google HDRFX Pro, but mostly I prefer Photomatix, and especially for the 32-bit images. So I'll use the Photomatix. By all means, you can use the other programs. Um, for my comfortability, I'm trying to explain using Photomatix. Um, Here I have already imported, to save time, three images which are bracketed images. One is normal exposure image, another one is two stops under, and the third one is two stops over. So I have three images here. Uh, why three images? Well, you can have five images also, or seven images, but I was shooting um, from one of our recent photo walks, and the tripods were not allowed inside, so all the best I can do was to capture bracketed images using three images only. So that's a limitation, but by all means, you follow the very same process. What I try to show you here with three images, you can use the same thing for five images or seven images uh, or more, but I think five images or seven images are more than enough for a HDR uh, image to be created. So here it is. I'll straightforward go to the develop module. Here what I try to do is to click on the normal exposed image, and the first thing I try to do is lens correction. Lens correction, why lens correction? Because wide angle lenses are prone to some distortion, so the distortion and some vignetting and other things are associated with that. So first thing is that I'll try to um, do the lens correction for this one. I'm using Tokina, so I'll select this Tokina here. It's automatically selected your model, which is Tokina, the correct one. But sometimes if it does not, you need to manually select your model here. So first thing is lens correction. It cleans your image. Uh, it helps in distortion. Second thing, I come to the basic thing. I see that my image is very straight, but at times, especially if you are doing handheld shots, images needs to be corrected or straightened up. I'll try to show you how. I'll do the auto thing here. It has done nothing, so that means it's already straightened up. I'll I'll keep this setting as off. We don't need to do anything here in this picture, but maybe another image you need to straighten it up. So try to use these options. I'm trying to show you how I do it. You may have a different way of doing it which suits your style. So I'm just trying to show you how 32-bit images are created which are more realistic looking. Just leave it like that. A bit of sharpening I do. between say 30 and 35, so 32 is just right. A bit of noise reduction, maybe between 15 and 20, maybe 18 is okay. Um, then I go to clarity, just improve a bit of clarity to the 10 points. That's it. So nothing more. So this Lightroom has a very good feature that if you do changes to one images and you want to replicate that to other images, you can sync those changes made to the original file to all the other files. What you have to do is click the image you have altered and then press the shift key and select all the other images. In this case, I have only 3 images, but maybe in your case, it could be 5 or 7 images. The way of doing it is very similar. Select all and then go to the sync setting, sync all. Since we want everything to be replicated properly, all settings should be replicated to all the images. We don't bother about all these signs. These signs are something which maybe you want to selectively sync some of the settings, but here we want all settings to be synced. So it doesn't matter if we only made changes to 2 or 3 settings, we'll synchronize all in a couple of seconds or even less. All the settings are synchronized. Now what you want to do is to make HDR out of it. From here on, the real part begins. Uh, Go to the files, export. Here you see a lot of other options. I have Google also. I have Photomatix. I have Photoshop as well. But I'll use HDR Soft, which is a parent company for Photomatix, and merge to 32-bit HDR. This is the extra plugin which you need to install, but it generally comes free, or you can download it from the net if you have Photomatix Pro. I use Photomatix Pro version 5. Um, with it asking for the settings, so I select compression none, Adobe RGB, which is here you just select merge to 32-bit HDR and export it. Click export. It will open another window. Here you can remove ghost in case if you have ghosts or moving objects or images or people in the frame. But here in my case there are none, so I'll let this remove ghost option unchecked. Reduce a bit of noise from underexposed. You remember that we already reduced some sort of noise uh, from the images already, but yes, a bit of more noise reduction from the underexposed image, that is the middle one. We'll let other setting remain as it is. You can use this half floating point, which can reduce the bit of size of the image, because 32-bit image can be a massive one, especially if you're using the 7 images, 7 bracketed shots to create the HDR. But I'll remain as it is because I'm already using 3 bracketed shots, and even if I was using 5 or 7, I let it remain like that. I want all the information in the 32-bit image, so I'll click this merge button. It will merge the images, exporting it first to the Photomatix engine, and then what it'll do is it will uh, merge them, align them, denoise, merge the HDRs. When it's done, it shows here in your timeline, in your pictures, but sometimes it does not. You need to select all photographs if the previous import is selected, which is by default the option. but sometimes if that image does not show it here, you need to select all photographs, and this will this HDR, which is converted to HDR from this bracketed shot, will show up here. So this was the original image, which we took along with the underexposed image and the overexposed image. Here we get image which is merged from these three images. So now the thing is that it has a lot more information within it. So this image has a lot more information in it. Um, uh, it contains information from other three bracketed shots all together put into one. Here was the original image, and here is the uh, a merged image, which is a 32-bit. What is the difference? Well, it has a higher dynamic range than the 16-bit image. If you had created a 16-bit image, it had a value from exposure from -5 to +5 like your original one. But here, with this one, it has exposure control from -10 to +10. It has a lot more um, dynamic range. It is well equipped to deal with the noise. It's also better uh, to do the HDR and the problems associated with the HDR. So it deals with them a lot better way. So here's our 32-bit image. First thing I'll do here is well, I'll edit its white balance. I think I'll try to do auto. I think auto. I think it's for me. I think 3500 was the correct white balance. So here the white balance, maybe a bit of improvement in the exposure so that everything brightens up here. You can do your own thing. I'm trying to do what I do. I'd like to show you how I do it, but you can, yes, by all means, do your own thing. I increase bit of contrast, maybe 10 points. Let's see. I can revisit all these sliders later on. Highlight all, level down shadows to up so that I can get more details out of all these hidden areas. White controls, maybe you just need to click the Alt button on your keyboard. Click on this. You see bit of colors here. You don't need to do anything. You need to slide your whites up to a point where you see bit of colors. That's your whitest whites. So here in this image, I think it is all well corrected. The whites are well shown here. If you press your Alt key and press the white slider, um, black, I think you still see the colors. I think it's still very correctly um captured, but I like to increase blacks a bit, maybe a bit of it, so that I get more colors here. I leave it like that. Improve a clarity bit, maybe around 36. Yes, that's fine. Um, Vibrance, I'm not too sure. We can visit that later if you want to convert it into a black and white image. That vibrance and saturation doesn't matter at all. Well, if you want to remain it like a color image, what I tend to do is I reduce a bit of saturation. Why? Because all the softwares, all the HDR softwares tend to increase the saturation a bit, which makes it a bit more grungy. So we want this image to look like more like a realistic image. So if you want to um, use a saturated version, try to lower down the saturation, but it is as per your liking. You can increase or decrease as per liking. But I tend to slightly decrease the saturation if I want a color image. But here I think I'm going for a black and white image. Yes, black and white HDRs. They are so fascinating. So I'm going with the black and white HDR. Um, with black and white, I think you need to increase the contrast a bit, maybe a strong contrast here, so that the whites and blacks show well in the image. So I like it remain like that. Maybe a tinge bit improvement on the exposure part, because if you increase contrast, it makes it dark. Yeah, not much, not much. I'm going for just a bit of it. Um, then you can increase sharpness around 60s and 60s, and then noise reduction. Remember we already did the noise reduction, but still some of it is required in early 40s. Um, that should be enough because it's a 32-bit image, remember, and it deals with noise in a lot better way. I think it's making the image a bit softer. I'll reduce tiny bit, sharpening also a bit reduced, I think. Yeah, I think that's it. That's maybe even, yeah. So now addiction, we already did that. So yeah, I think yeah, that's fine. That's fine with me. Yeah. So here we have the image, which is more realistic looking image, which is a 32-bit HDR, very different from 16-bit HDR that mostly we do. So it has a lot more information. You can do a lot more with the 32-bit HDR than the normal one. So here we started from, and here we have a 32-bit HDR. Here we started, and here we end. So yeah, maybe a bit of vignetting then I had to get attention of viewers to the center of the screen, to this light. Yeah, a bit of it, maybe a bit more. Yeah. So here's our final image. Here we started, and here we have the final image. Um, just to let me know what you feel about it. Thanks very much for being with me. Thank you very much. Bye bye.